Hey, welcome here to a brand new episode. I'm your host, Dr. Faith Elizabeth Nanyonga. If you're listening in today, I'd like to take this minute to thank you for each and every time that you tune in to listen to me as I teach about career development and personal development. Your support is invaluable to me, and I don't take it for granted. If it's your first time here, welcome to the theframedsolutions podcast. And if you'd like to be a fan, there are 3 ways you can support this show and spread the love. Every single share, subscribe count matters, so do not think your efforts go unnoticed. The first way you could support this show is by leaving a review in Apple Podcasts. Reviews not only make the world a better place for me as the podcast gets to many ears, but also rank our podcast higher in the podcast charts. You can subscribe to this podcast so that you do not miss out any episode as they are released. And also, you could choose to be a guest on the podcast by sending in an email. The email address is theframedsolutions@gmail.com. Thank you once again. Hello. Welcome to a brand new episode on the Framed Solutions podcast. I'm delighted that you're tuning in as I record this episode. It's almost 1 a.m. Yeah, that's how dedicated I am to the podcast. If I sound horsey, yeah, it's that late in the night. So in today's episode, I want to talk to you about 2023. Let's check in at the end of the year. Let's look at this 2023 and see how it's gone. So I know at the start of the year, we all start the year, if you're like me, at a very high note. You have so many goals. You have so many ambitions. You have so many things that you want to achieve in the year. That's how I was in 2023. But if you haven't downloaded my blueprint to career clarity, a link is in the description of this episode. Please run, don't walk, and download the blueprint to career clarity. As 2023 comes to an end, this is the best time for you to start preparing yourself for the jobs that you want in 2024. And what better way to do that than getting my blueprint to career clarity? Clients who have used my blueprint to career clarity have reported back with good things. They've said it's helped them define a career plan for themselves. It's helped them project the next year of their career development and also helped them gain the clarity they need to focus on what matters in their careers. So if this is you and you're looking for something to help you streamline your career to your goals, your ambition, and achieve the success that you want to achieve at the end of the day, the blueprint to career clarity is your thing. A link will be in the description. And after you've downloaded that blueprint, please take time to fill it in and get back to me. My email address is also in the description of this episode. Let me know how you found it and what aha moments you've had while you're completing the blueprint to career clarity. As 2023 clocked, I prayed to God. I had established my New Year's word of the year. And this year my word was nourishment. So I started to look at how I would be nourished. In fact, if you go back a couple of episodes on the podcast, you will know when I talked about nourishment. And nourishment is very important because for us to survive, to live healthier lifestyles, we have to be nourished, well-fed, in good health, and thriving. I nourished myself when it came to eating healthy meals, the books I read, the podcasts I listened to, the friends I spoke to, and the habits I wanted to bring in my life, plus the habits I wanted to remove in my life. So all in all, the first quarter got done. I reevaluated my progress every month, did some goal setting, did some goals fine-tuning, and I kept on ticking off one goal at a time. Second quarter, I worked on my mindset. I had some self-limiting beliefs that I had to break when it came to how the Frame Solutions was running, how I was showing up as a side hustler or a business owner. I like to call myself a business owner. Irrespective of how big my business is, I believe I'm a business owner So I looked at what ways I could show up as a business owner, not as a person who is hustling, but a person who already has an established business. So I looked at my being versus my doing. I don't know if I'll have time before this season comes to an end, because I plan to finish this season in the coming 2 weeks. I don't know if I'll have time to talk about the being versus the doing. The being means that you have to be that person before you decide to do. You have to have that identity of that person who you want to be before you decide to take action to become that person. I've found that this principle has worked so well for me when it comes to everything I've done this year. Let me just give a brief synopsis on how to go about this. At the start of the year, I decided that I was going to concentrate on building my personal brand when it came to the YouTube channel that I have, my personal YouTube channel, Faith Liz's Corner, the Framed Solutions podcast, and creating content that I felt would benefit so many people who watch my videos or who discover the podcast and the YouTube channel. But I had some self-limiting beliefs that I had to break to get to here where I am. As I speak this, I've published over 124 videos on the Faith Liz's Corner. 122 videos are from 2023, and the 2 were from the previous year when I decided to start the YouTube. But at first, all I was doing were voiceovers, because I know how to record a podcast, so I can do voiceovers very easy. I was in my comfort zone. I could record the A-roll, which are the videos that you see. Then I come at the end when I'm editing, I put the voiceover. That was easy. But I wanted to create more impactful content by doing sit-downs and being able to talk to the camera, direct into the camera, and express the views that I had. That meant that I had to overcome that fear of being seen. One way I did this was to ask myself the question, if I want to be viewed by 10,000 people, how would I show up to be viewed on YouTube by 10,000 people? So my identity had to shift from the person who is shy, from the person who is scared of being seen, from the fear of being seen or putting myself out there, to the person who shows up. So my being had to be that person who is going to produce videos for 10,000 people before I would embark on producing those videos that could be watched by 10,000 people. That's what I mean by being versus the doing. Number 2, with the being versus the doing, I decided that I was going to be the person who was going to be healthy, because I wanted to lose the baby fat and the weight that I'd gained while I was pregnant and nursing my child. So I decided to show up as a person who has already lost the weight. What does a person who has already lost the weight do? That means that person eats healthier meals, that person restricts how much sugar they consume, or is mindful of how much sugar they consume. That person has a plan of moving their body. That person looks at their body with a good self-image. So I showed up as a person who had that result already, who had already lost the baby weight and was looking in the best shape of their life. In the end, as 2023 came to an end, or is coming to an end, I'd lost up to 30 pounds, which are like 15 kilograms, if you're to convert it in kilograms. My being met with my doing. Those are the 2 instances I can tell you when it comes to being and doing. Why I'm sharing this is I want to let you know that if you want to change your life, you have to create the identity of the person who has already changed their life. I like to do this through journaling, because journaling helps me clarify what I'm thinking. It helps me brainstorm the ideas of what I'm thinking, and it also helps me have a clear picture of my thoughts. Because if I don't have a clear picture of my thoughts, I might feel overwhelmed by situations and scenarios that are happening in my life. I might not know what direction to take. But when I clarify my thoughts, I'm able to say, oh, this is exactly what I'm thinking. How can I tackle it? So journaling really helped me, and also self-compassion. Self-compassion meant that I was able to empathize with my situation, understand that for me to become a YouTuber, I had to learn every video at a time. I had to let go of the perfectionist mentality and say, I'm going to film these YouTube videos, regardless of whether they are very great. I'll publish them because it's the content that matters more than the production and the post-production. So I decided to improve on the videos, one video at a time. In fact, recently I had to go back into my analytics for the YouTube channel and look at how the videos performed ever since I released them. And I saw that some of the videos, I was really an amateur. But as I practiced, I've gotten better at producing these videos. As I practiced, I've been able to improve on how the videos are looking. And this has helped me become better with time. So the other essence was, it's progress over perfection. I've made progress. And from that progress, each video has gotten better than the previous video. Number 3 was about being grateful. Gratitude, and gratitude. Gratitude meant I bought myself a 5-minute journal. Oh my goodness. I didn't know how much it would really have a great impact on my life. Just taking 5 minutes every day to write down 3 things I'm grateful for. 3 things that would make the day a good day. Then at the end of the day, reflecting at the affirmation that I have for that day. And also taking a lesson from that day. And also having a summary of how the day turned out. Those 5 things have transformed my year. If you haven't gotten a gratitude journal, please get yourself a gratitude journal. In 2023, I've lived with a half-full glass mentality, meaning that I've looked at the things that I have over things that I lack. And this has been emphasized by the gratitude journal and the gratitude routine that I adopted. There are so many places you can get gratitude journals. Actually, recently I saw a website called Temu, T-E-M, I think you. You can get gratitude journals if you're international, but if you're in Australia, I got mine from Kmart and it cost me only $5. That book is a well-deserved component to include in your life. Include a gratitude journal and tell me next year around this time how much your life would have changed. Number 4 was all about imperfect action. If you've been here on the podcast or if you watched any content on my YouTube, you know that I'm a person who preaches imperfect action. Imperfect action means that you do not know where your next step is going to lead you, but you take that step regardless. Imperfect action means that you're going to do things imperfectly and you're going to acknowledge that thing, that every step you take will not be perfect, but at least you're putting one foot in front of the other. Many of us are stuck because we want to be perfect at everything. No one in this life has everything figured out. In fact, we all live at a risk of losing almost everything. See, every day is not a guarantee to you, but we still wake up and tackle it. Business people will tell you that every day in the business is not a guarantee for them, but they wake up and take risks and take those calculated risks to get ahead. So I've been able to learn not to be risk averse. I've been able to learn to take small risks and just tip my toes into water just so I know that I'm making progress. I've been able to get out of my comfort zone and start so many things in 2023 because I treated myself as an experiment. I decided to bet on myself. I decided to take that imperfect action, and it's led me to where I am right now. Number 5 is all about consistency. If you're consistent in the habits that you're creating, you'll get further than a person who has motivation for 1 month and doesn't do anything for the remaining 11 months of the year. I've been consistent in many aspects of my life. It's only these last 2 months that I feel like, I need a break. Given what I went through just less than 2 months ago, I still have to work through that grief. I still have to work through that trying time I've been going through or I've been through since I lost my dad. But I know I'll get there. That's why I'm giving myself that compassion, that grace to tackle everything in small bits, not to rush, but to take each day as it comes. Because grief is different for everyone. I wasn't the type that grieved immediately after my dad had passed, but now I'm grieving because I have all these unanswered questions that I have to tackle. But again, I'm here sharing this with an intention that I help you, that if you're going through anything hard, it might not be grief, it might be depression, it might be anxiety, it might be a job loss, it might be a diagnosis, or any trying moment in your life. Handle it with compassion. Be compassionate towards yourself. I know at the end of the year, many of us want to look back and see that you've achieved a lot. You might not have achieved a lot, but have the grace to believe that you did what you could with what you had. Things might not have turned out the way you want them to turn out, but at least you showed up. At least you learned some lessons along this journey of 2023. So be compassionate towards yourself. And that's the compassion I've given myself, to take every day as it comes, because I know grief is different for everyone and everyone's situation is different. Number 6, create a community of people who are going to support you. 2023 has seen me make friends virtually, people who follow the podcast, who have subscribed to the podcast, people who have joined my YouTube community. As of today, I'm sitting at 600 subscribers. When I got that notification that I have 600 subscribers, I looked back at the start of the YouTube channel when I didn't have any subscribers. In fact, the ones that had subscribed to my channel were basically my family members. But because of showing up and doing what I felt I was called to do, my channel is growing. 600 subscribers 13 months later. How amazing is that? The growth might be slow, but at least I'm creating a community of people that I would want to have in my community. So, what's your community? What people do you have in your corner that are supporting you towards your goals, towards your ambitions, and towards your passions? As the saying goes, we are an average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. What people have you surrounded yourself in 2023? And what people do you want to surround you in 2024? The last but not least is God. God has been the center of it all. I'm a Christian, a born-again Christian at that. And the Word of God tells us that commit your plans before the Lord and He will establish them. That is Proverbs 16, verse 3. That scripture sums it all. As you sit down at the end of the year to plan for 2024, and as you review 2023, take some time to give thanks to God for having brought you this far. And also take time to present your plans before God. His word tells us He's the author. That means He writes. And the finisher. That means He completes of our faith. Everything that we do, He already knows where it will lead us. So what better way to do it than to consult Him? What better way to do it than to ask Him to guide you as the new year comes? Whatever belief you might be, take time and thank God for how far He's brought you. Present your requests for the coming year before Him. Take imperfect action towards your goals. I love to set big, audacious goals. And some of the goals that I'm going through this time is I want to make a big impact, a bigger impact in 2024. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast, I ask you today, please subscribe to the podcast. Also, rate it in Spotify. It's very easy to rate. Give it a 5-star because it deserves a 5-star. If you have Apple Podcasts, please rate it also. Scroll down until the end of the podcast show and you'll see the option of rating it. And if you have a minute or so to spare, please write me a review. A review tells me that the people on the other side listening to this podcast and encourages me to keep creating this content. In 2024, we are going to start the video format. I'm excited for season 4 that will be coming in 2024. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, the link is in the description. There is already a playlist with these episodes that I've done ever since 2021. So you can go on there and catch up on the episodes that you missed. Otherwise, I appreciate every single one of you who takes time to listen to this podcast. Thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, I wouldn't have done what I do without your support. And I thank you so much for supporting this podcast, for sharing it, and for letting me know how much impact it had on your life. Otherwise, catch you in the next episode and stay blessed. Bye. I hope you've learned something from this episode. And if you have, please rate and review wherever you listen to your podcast. Subscribe to this podcast. Share it with your family, friends, and those that you think are interested in career development. Also, follow me on the socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. The username is theframedsolutions. I can't wait to speak to you in the next episode. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.